Okay, this is part 2 of the movie box office case. So in this part, we're still working on the top worldwide box office. And if you see that these tabs are colored, you can easily color a tab by right-clicking on it, and there's like, so we'll say color tab, and then you can pick a color for the tab. Okay, now I noticed that this is in the millions. So this is in the millions, this is the actual millions. So I have to make this a like term. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take total production costs, I'm going to divide it by 1 million. So now I get the results per million. Let's format that into currency. And then I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste special, and I'm going to paste just the values and number formats. Okay, and I'm going to delete this data. Okay, so now I have this is in the millions. I don't need change on these two cells. Truncate the change there. And then to calculate the domestic percent, I'm just going to take the domestic box office divided by the world box office. Here I'm going to take the overseas box office divided by the world box office to get these percents. And copy this over here. Let's say various years. And then I'm going to, let's clean this up a bit. So up here, I want to box the titles, and they're centered already, and I already wrapped the text. And then down here, I'm going to use double bottom rows to indicate that these are totals. Okay, now it also asks us to calculate gross profits. So I want to calculate gross profits here, and I'm just gonna format that. And then gross profits would be actually wholesale box office minus production costs. So that's the gross profits. Copy that down here, and then let's move that down. Okay, so that's the gross profits. And I'll keep my formatting consistent. Okay, so now we should create a pivot table. The pivot table we use a pivot table to create. Was asked to create totals by movie studio. So I'm going to actually, for my pivot table, I don't want my total row in the pivot table. So I'm going to put my total row down here, and then I'm going to use, I'm going to highlight the whole area quickly with my quick keys, and then I'm going to insert the pivot table. Okay, so I have in my pivot table here, and I'm going to adjust this a bit. So I do want it by studio, title. I don't want the title in there. There we go. And let me make this bigger because this is so tiny. Okay, there we go. Close that. Okay, so here is my total. All right, so let me unclick that. Okay, so I want to do the sum of the worldwide, and I want to do the production costs and gross profits. Okay, so that's all I really need for this pivot table here. And I'm going to take this data on the pivot tables, and I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna hit Control Copy. I'm gonna move this to the Studios tab, and I'm just going to put this in the Studio tab. And then let me wrap the text so it's easy to see, and increase the size so you can see. Okay. So it's the sum of the worldwide box office, sum of production, sum of gross profits, and I'm going to put in okay, I didn't want to put a reference in. Gross profit percent. And this should be, I'm going to delete, I'm just going to call this studios. And then I like to put the stuff in the center and then put the boxes in. It makes it a little bit cleaner. Okay, and this should all be in dollars. So let's swing that back to dollars. And then the gross profit is going to be the profits divided by the worldwide box office, formatted in a percent. So here we have the total. This is the total here. And now I was asked in the memo here, let's see. That's just my cat. Quiet cat. Okay. Studio. Enter the following. Oh, okay. Calculate studios' percentage of market share. Use the rank the studios in total worldwide box office dollars and total profits. Okay. And then percentage of market share. Okay. So then in the studio tab, I have the studios, and I can sort any way I want. So if I want to do a sort, custom sort, I could do it on gross profit percent, largest to smallest. Oops, you can't see that here. I'm just selecting gross profit, largest to smallest, and then I can see that CL, whatever studio that is, it's actually a very small dollar amount here, but they have the highest gross profit percentage. Now, they want us to do market share. So if I highlight these two columns here, I can go to charts and then insert pie chart. Just a simple pie chart. And there you go. I have a pie chart, something I'll probably use for the executive summary, or you should use. So let's move this down here, and maybe I'll make this bigger. And then if you should probably edit this pie chart, and it would be nice to have maybe the names and the wedges, so you can play around with the pie chart to make it a little bit more professional. So let's go back to the memo. So we created the studio's percentage of market share. I actually didn't do a percentage, but it's going to be the same as this pie chart. So if I was going to do a percentage, I would need to have a total. So I'll do the auto sum, get a total, and I can move this over. And then I can create a percentage, market share percent, and I can just simply say the total. Nope, I want to do the individual divided by the total, and we should make this a percent. And this is a very small percent, because I'm going to lock down B16 because I don't want that cell to drift. Let's put absolutes on that. Now I can just bring this down. Okay, so I have my percentages. So if I want to do a market share, to make it easy on me, I'm just going to copy this. Let me just copy this over here. And then I can just highlight both of these and then create the market share pivot table from that, pie table rather. So this is the market share. And you'll see it's going to be identical to the sum of the box office because it's a percentile again. But that, I want to follow what the memo is saying. Let's go back to the memo. Okay, so that's the pie chart to detail the data. And I'm just assuming we should do the market share, but both of them work fine, the same. Okay, now working on the enter the following information in the discounted cash flow worksheet. Each film will make additional profits after release. So based on DVD and TV rights, so you could see how movies make money tab. If you want to look at how the movies make money, you can read this tab here, or it'll describe how the movies make money. But movies just don't make money in the movie theater. After it's released, it's going to make royalties, film rights, merchandising, Showtime, Homebox, Netflix, all those streaming rights. So it's going to make $8 for every $100 in sales after it's released. So using that information, I need to create a discounted cash flow model. So if I go to the discounted cash flow here, and again, make this big so you guys can see. So here, the studio, and then we want to put in the sales. I have to actually pause this. Okay, so I just changed the title here, the worldwide box office dollars. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the studio tab, and I want to bring over the studios. So I'm going to copy that, bring it over to discounted cash flow. So here are the studios, and then I'm going to go back to the studio tab, and I want to bring the sum of the worldwide profits. I'm sorry, the worldwide box office is what we want to work with. Okay. So this is, we have to put in the millions. Okay, now the additional profits are going to be 8%. So I'm just going to multiply this by 0.08. These will be the additional profits. And let's keep everything currency. So these are the additional profits the films will make each year because of the royalties and merchandising we talked about. Now, the discounted cash flow, I want to discount this cash flow moving forward. So there are plenty of models to do this discounted cash flow. We're going to use, in here, we're going to use the rate of 5%. I'm going to edit this comment. This should be the year minus 2019 would be the exponent. So the cash flow, additional cash flow is in C. Okay, so the discounted cash flow. So in year 2019, so to do the discounted cash flow, we're going to do the net present value formula. So I'm going to go to formulas, and I'm going to insert the formula under, this would be under financial, and then I'm going to look for present value. Okay, so I want the present value. The rate is 5%, which was stated in the comment. The NPER is going to be the 2019 minus 2019. Let's see. And the future value amount will be the additional profits. So let's hit enter here. Okay, so we get a negative number. We have to make, we should multiply this by -1. And it should be the same number, because there's no discounting for the first year. Now, in the formula though, it's going to be annoying to keep putting these numbers. So I'm going to put the year up here to more easily discount the cash flow in these formulas. It should flash fill. If I do two, maybe if I do two of these rows, it should flash fill. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, Excel is smart. So if you highlight a series of numbers and you keep dragging it should flash fill them. So let's redo this formula. And so instead of saying 2019, we're gonna pull this back and we're gonna use this cell to create it. And I want to lock down row 1 here. So can I see if I can copy this down? Yeah, okay, so that worked. So that's a good test. And then let me copy this over. And these numbers should be slightly smaller because we're discounting at 5%. So if we move this all the way over, okay, we get the discounting until 2028, which is the we're going to discount all the cash flows to 2028, and then we're going to find the sum of the total discounted cash flow. So I'm just going to do an auto sum here, but I don't. How far do we go? We want to start at D, because that's where the discounted cash flow started. So let me adjust that to D. So this is the sum of the discounted cash flows. So then I'm going to sort by the total discounted cash flows. Remember, it's important to highlight, when you do a sort, you should really highlight everything in the sort. Custom sort, and I want to select this time. I'm just going to select row N because I didn't include the headers, and I'm going to go largest to smallest. Okay, so the studio with the most discounted cash flow value would be BV. That's Buena Vista, Warner Brothers, Fox, Universal, Paramount, Sony, Lionsgate Films, DreamWorks, Dimension, Miramax. Not sure these two. United Artists, not sure that last one. Okay, so those are the studios. So this would be, so you would say that this is probably the best studio to buy because it has the maximum amount of discounted cash flow generated based on the sales. Okay, so that's how you would do a discounted cash flow. So this would basically, what we're calculating here is the suggested purchase price. If we were going to purchase the studio, this is what we'd pay. This is what we'd say the value of the studio is based on its backlog of catalog of films. Okay, so now the last thing to do is to create an executive summary and to summarize all that we've done in this spreadsheet, and we've done quite a lot. We took the, if you remember, we took the cost database and then we summarized it in, this is a funny looking page here. Let's fix that. We summarized it on this page, just to get an idea of inflation adjusted information. We made a pivot table for average and costs. Then we moved over to the worldwide box office. And I'm going to go and actually, now that I have the pivot table, I'm going to remove those titles there. We have the worldwide box office here with production costs and gross profit. And we use that to create a pivot table. Worldwide pivot table. So we created a pivot table so we could sort it easily by studio. And then we cut and paste that information over to the studio tab, created a couple pie charts, market share and worldwide box office. Then we did a discounted cash flow to see the value of each of the companies, and we found that this would be the purchase price of each of these studios. And then we can also take the time to read over how exactly these studios make money. and that can help you in crafting your executive summary here. Okay, so that is my step-by-step on how to complete the box office movie studio case, and I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you again for next week's case.